I probably should have checked the PowerPoint in advance, huh?
Hello, everybody. So give us just one moment.
Okay, so what's hilarious about this is that I can only see y'all, which is like a regular weekend, but there's mystery people out there in the distance who are listening and can see me, but I can't see them.
It's a very interesting learning curve to learn to talk to a camera and not have anybody around you. And I am still failing, and I have done that numerous times in the last few months. It's disconcerting.
I'm just going to talk to Carrie. She's middle.
Hi, Carolyn.
I'm just going to talk straight to Carrie. Figure it out.
The Brady Bunch, but
Right?
I know. Do I have to be Jan? Just don't make me Jan.
So I will go ahead and start with the introductions for superheroines, and then I will hand everything off to you all and let you take over.
Cool.
So, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our first ever Superheroines Con, and I'm so excited. I am Whitney Reisner. I am the board president for Superheroines, etc., and my pronouns are she and her. For those of you who may not be familiar with who we are, Superheroines, etc. is a 501c3 nonprofit that fights for representation and inclusion in geek culture. We serve a growing community of women via monthly member-driven events that range from a graphic novel book club to our women's GMing cohort. If you would like to learn more, you can visit us at superheroinesetc.org, or you can see us after the panel. We also encourage you to engage with us on social media by using the hashtag SheCon2020. As we begin, I invite you to join in acknowledging the land that we occupy that sustains us. Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to making the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will. Some were drawn to leave their distant homes in hopes for a better life. And some have lived on this land for more generations than can be counted. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. We begin this effort to uncover what has been buried by acknowledging that we are not the first stewards of this land that we call home, honoring previous tenders of the land and expressing gratitude for our access to the land. Because of the virtual environment of this con, we are coming from all over the United States and are representing the traditional lands of many people. I encourage you to go to native-land.ca to learn more about where you live and share in the comments. We pay respects to their elders, past and present. Please take a moment to consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us together here today. Mm-hmm. And please join us in uncovering such truths at any and all public events. Acknowledgement is the beginning. After this event, we encourage you to learn more. We have just recently switched our platform from Google Meet over to YouTube. So your mics for the public watching this event will not come through to our presenters. But I do want you to know that during the event, you can ask questions in the chat or in Discord. If you can't get the chat to work, we will have moderators checking all of the chats and trying to get all of your questions answered. If you need closed captions, YouTube does have a built-in feature. If you hover over the CC option on the bottom of the viewing screen, you should be able to add in closed captions. And with that, I am going to go ahead and remove myself so that I can hand the presentation over, and this lovely group of panelists and presenters will be able to go ahead and present.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Nicole.
Hey, Nicole's back. So,
We did it. We did it.
good evening or midday or hello, good day. I don't know what time it is. That's just my life now. But hello, thank you for joining us for the panel. My name is Izetta Nicole. I am one of the many staff writers of Black Nerd Problems, and I am here with my sister today. I'm trying while I am getting this screen sharing. If you all want to go ahead and introduce yourselves and all that, we can do that.
Leslie, go ahead.
I'll go first. My name is Leslie. I live in Northern California, but I'm originally from Ohio. Go Bucks. Go Bucks. I am I'm a fiction writer. I'm a fiction editor. Most importantly for this conversation, I'm one of the founding members of Black Nerd Problems, the website. And I do fiction reviews and do editorial. So I help produce the website and I support all of my writers, and I also read and review Black speculative fiction. So short stories, novels, novellas, that kind of thing, by and about Black people. And I'm super excited to talk to all of you today about this little club we accidentally started, and 5 years down the road is still core to my life, really, in a lot of different ways. It's still.
Who's next?
So I'll go. Hi, everybody. I'm Brittany Ann Williams. I am an actor and also a staffer for Black Nerd Problems. And also a fiction writer. Have my first piece of fictional writing coming out November 10th. I have a short story in the Star Wars anthology From a Certain Point of View, The Empire Strikes Back. Make sure to pre-order that wherever you pre-order your books, AA. And for Black Nerd Problems, I'll do a weekly Instagram live show called It's a Flop, where we talk about movies that crashed and burned, but we still love them. And today we talked about the Bratz movie because that's a thing that exists. So yeah.
Necessary conversation. Oh, sorry, Nicole, go for it.
No. I'm Nicole Homer. I'm a poet and teacher and crafter and gardener. I'm also editor of Black Nerd Problems, where I cover kind of like TV and movies. So I sometimes do movie reviews, but right now I'm doing a lot more facilitating our writers, getting their work out into the world. I think that's it for right now. More to come.
I guess I'm last. Oh, yeah.
I got to interrupt for 1 second because Whitney led the way and we missed it. We should all give our pronouns.
Oh, snap.
Right. Whitney did that and we totally missed it. I am a she, her. So there we go.
Also she, her.
She, they.
Her.
She, they. There's so many faces.
There's so many faces. So many smiling faces. And for me, my pronouns will be she, her. And I'm the last to give the introduction. I'm Carrie, Southern California writer. I like writing about art and literature and cinema and the amazing women and marginalized people who contribute to that. For Black Nerd Problems, I am an editor. I work behind the scenes with some of the social media, and I'm usually reviewing and talking about all the good indie comics off Kickstarter and Indiegogo and graphic novels and literature and the like. So that's that. That's the introduction.
What a great introduction. So if I look kind of weird, it's because I'm sharing my screen and then all of you left from my screen. So now I'm on YouTube on my phone. So I'm like this because I need to be able to see all of the beautiful faces, but I can also now see comments. So that's really cool.
That is what's up.
Yeah. So as we get into Black Women Dreaming, we want to give this note. So we are not the creators of this hashtag, but we are active users of Black Women Dreaming. Here's some information about it. It was curated by Amara Tabor Smith, who is the director of housefulofblackwomen.com. And I'm a teacher as well. And one of the things that I hate is when people read slides verbatim. So I won't do that. But I want to leave this up here a little bit so that you have the information. But Black Women Dreaming and housefulofblackwomen.com, that site is specific to talking about and addressing issues of displacement, sex trafficking of Black women and girls in Oakland. I don't even remember how we stumbled upon this hashtag, though. Wesley, do you remember?
I'm sure it was Carrie. Anything that has to do with a hashtag or a GIF or a meme, I got from Carrie.
Instagram.
I think.
Right?
I thought we just started using it, and then we're like, wait, somebody else might be using it, and then Carrie was like, somebody is using it, and did that research for us.
Yes, that sounds like Carrie.
That's right.
Right.
So Black Women Dreaming, I threw in some cool quotes from some amazing women of color up in here. Rihanna helped me beat this space a little bit today. So you know what I'm saying? So we're gonna start with her. And this was actually the lead into the introduction. Like, I bet you want to know what my crew about. You really want to know how we get down. Y'all gonna find out a little bit how we get down today, because I love these women and we do the most. So, but one of the things about Black Women Dreaming and our squad and doing the most together is being supportive. And so we're just going to talk about what that looks like right now, how we support one another in our creative work, in building community within our group and others. So, ooh, I'm getting a little echo. If y'all want to talk, let me put on my headphones. Anyone want to chat about this a little bit?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start. You've got a picture there on the right of all of us, along with a few of the members that aren't here right now. That's Lauren and Anissa. We all met through Black Nerd Problems, right? As people who wanted to write nonfiction about our nerddom. And as we started to do that work, which was pretty creative, we found that as Black women, we wanted to support each other in writing, which is challenging for a variety of reasons. And out of that initial writing support came a growth to, well, let's dream together. Let's support each other, not only in our creative work, but let's build a community. And it just starts with the 5 of us all over the country. Like, none of us live within 5 hours of each other, but we could build a community online through various means that we could then expand outward. So this is a place where I come, this is my squad that fills my cup so that I can turn around and give to my local community more effectively and with more energy. But it really sprung from a common fandom and a common nerddom and a common desire to do good creative work. At a lot of different levels, right? None of us we all write, but each of us has our own specific specialty, I guess one would say, in our creativity. And so that's where the differences come in from Audre Lorde there, about how each of us has different specialties. So when I have a question, I'm going to get 5 different opinions, and I'm going to get them from very different directions that allow me to then feed from that and do better and be more by myself.
Yes, absolutely. And it's so interesting. I was like the last person to jump into the group. I was the newest writer. And so like y'all had already squatted up before I entered the chat. So
I don't even remember that.
And like,
Me neither.
yeah, well, remember, I didn't even join Black Nerd Problems until 2016, like mid 2016.
Whew.
So
yeah, that was
so right, y'all like So you know, sometimes when you come into a group where people are already in community with each other, as like an outsider, it can take you a little while to like feel welcomed or to like find your place. And I didn't run into that with this group. It was just like very welcoming, like just it was a crew feeling immediately. So that's like it's so wonderful to have that. And since I joined Black Nerd Problems, I've made a move from New York City. I moved to New Orleans. So it's been nice, like even within that huge transition, to still have this core group of people to still connect with, regardless of where I am, and to have that support system. And really, I feel like I can ask y'all literally anything. I can ask y'all, to read my stuff. I can ask y'all for advice. I can ask y'all, I can trust y'all to talk me down if I'm about to cuss somebody out because they didn't got on my bad side. Like it's just it's such a great space, and it's nice because it's just wonderful. And we really did all come together off of I'll let somebody else answer this question because I've been talking a lot, but basically this is what we're getting on.
We have a question actually that came from Discord that said, so if you all live apart, please share your story as to how you got to know each other. You know what? I mean, it definitely was through blacknerdproblems.com because we all write for Black Nerd Problems. And I believe that Nicole may have been my first editor. I don't know. I remember Nicole reaching out like, hey, you've been a writer for a while. You want to write? Like I was.
That sounds like something I would say.
Because like Brittany said, like I came in at the end of like 2014, one of the co-founders of BNP. Evans is a friend of mine and a poet in the city, and that's how we knew each other. And he asked me like, do you want to write for Black Nerd Problems? And I was like, but am I a nerd though? Like, I don't know. And he's like, you like this crap right here? Because I was in the Twilight then. Don't judge me. You watch this crap right here, Gilmore Girls. I don't care if you judge me on that.
You used to write reviews for Gilmore Girls.
Yep.
I remember that.
Listen, I will still stand for Gilmore Girls. And I know some of it hasn't aged well, but also don't fight me. Like I'll fight over Gilmore Girls. I love that. And so, but I wrote like one thing and then didn't write anything else for like 6 months. And Nicole was just like, hey there, girl. How you doing? Hey, come join this little squad of women talking. And I was like, okay. And then I still just kind of sat in the sidelines for a minute. And then finally was like, I like these people. I want to do that. Okay, I can do this. Oh yeah, I fit in.
We're all nerds together.
And to further elaborate on what Izetta was saying, to piggyback on what she was saying, how did we all find each other? The origin story, and long story short, of Black Nerd Problems is that there was a couple of us online in different communities on Tumblr and on Twitter, and we're like, hey, you like Marvel comics, and hey, you like manga, and hey, you like theater and whatsoever. And that's how the website kind of came to be, of all of us in different parts of the country and whatnot. And so with Black Nerd Problems being formed, this little squad of us being formed happened afterwards. So that's a little more origin story for the question from Discord.
I don't want to repeat what you said, so I don't have anything to add. Like I'm like, word. Yep.
What she said.
Yep.
So let's talk about that. So we met digitally, and then we were able to have some circumstances and events that allowed us to meet in person. But the majority of our relationship and this community has been established and sustained online. So let's talk about digital support. What worked? What didn't work? How has being digital made our group better or worse or different?
I mean, Google Chat works. I know I was ready to cry when they were like, we're getting rid of the Hangouts. Like I was like, but how will I talk to my friends every day? But what? I don't understand. You can't do this to me. So we check in. I mean, I guess part of it is we say digitally, but we don't have it necessarily defined that. So we talk probably every day on Google Chat, and it's not always like big, long, drawn out things. Sometimes it's just like, hey, hope y'all are having a good day. The world's a hellscape, like stay strong. And sometimes it's like, can you help me talk me through this thing, or like I have this work, or a lot of times I think when we actually started using that Black Women Dreaming hashtag it would be like, I'm submitting to a journal, hashtag Black Women Dreaming. And it was kind of this way to hold each other accountable, and also offer support, because you can't be like, I have a dream, and then you have no actions. And y'all are kind enough to point out when there are no actions associated with the dream in a very tactful, supportive, but also still like get up off your ass and move kind of a way. So I think that's the one we talk the most. Like, I think I've tried to hit some of y'all back channel on Instagram to share memes, and you're like, yeah, this isn't happening in the G chat, so it's not real.
I enjoy the memes, Nicole. I enjoy the memes.
I can't monitor with so many streams at one time.
Oh
I get
my
confused.
gosh. The memes be the realest.
Look, you can send me whatever.
For real,
Yes.
bro.
Carrie is the queen
Yes.
of memes. And I have felt like most of the memes that I use on like other platforms, I get from
Oh,
Carrie.
word. Yeah, that's true.
I'm just like, it's like Carrie will put like a like response meme, and I'll be like, oh, okay, let me just save this.
Carrie
And then
is
it pops up in the Slack.
Carrie is the meme and GIF curator. Like, she is who does all of that. And then we got the thirst curator, Nicole.
Because that's important. It's a job.
It's so perfect, and it always comes at just the right time. It's like you wake up in the morning and Nicole has already posted some Instagram links, and it's like, yes, thank you. And it's like, here's one, here's a masculine one, here's a feminine one, and we're like, yes, come on.
Mad diversity is so nice.
Yes. I think one thing that like it's like one chance that always comes with like starting a community or even a friendship online is that you may worry that same rapport and comfort doesn't translate to meeting to in-person interactions. But with us, I guess because we're so honest and open in the chat that we have, that the first time we met in person, it just felt like a continuation of that. Like, it just was like, it may have been awkward for like a quick second, but like, I think Nicole, I met you before I ended up in the chat because we did that Star Trek thing.
Yeah, we did.
On the Intrepid. But like with everybody else, when I finally got to meet y'all in person, it was just like, all right, cool, bet.
Was that
we
Geek
knew each
Girl
other
Con
for
2018?
years before we met.
Before that, was it Geek Girl Con where we met?
I think
maybe. As a group, yes.
Yeah.
I
know that's where I met Carrie the first time. We met at Geek Girl Con like 2016, something like that, in Seattle. And then the next year everybody came together. And so we're 99% digital. I think that what doesn't work is we have a central place where most of the conversations happen, right? The chat. And so, if you hit me off channel, I literally am like, who are you and what are you talking about? Like, I find it hard to integrate that back into the thread. So that's something that as you build digital communities, if you're going to go to a different channel, everybody has to sign on to that new channel. Or else it just becomes, you have too many conversations going at the same time. Right. The beauty of digital for me is that it's asynchronous, right? So I'm not in everybody else's time zone, and I have a child and a full-time job, right? So if somebody's got an issue at noon, I'm not seeing it. But I can always come back at 5:00 my time and have a conversation and have a comment and still contribute in a way that is meaningful, right? And that everybody understands that we are all in different spaces time-wise. So that's where the digitalness really works for me, is the asynchronicity of it.
I just want to take a second to bless you, Leslie, for using asynchronous in such a communal way and not me just hearing it for work and virtual teaching this year. So thank you,
That
because
part. That
and
part.
for the pronunciation, because asynchronous and synchronous has been driving me mad. And so I love you. Thank you.
Here to help. That's me.
Somebody asked in
Yeah,
the
we have a
chat,
question.
what techniques can you share to combat writer's block, either individually or as a group?
Mm.
Brittany. Brittany did me.
Wait, me?
Yeah, remember we started out doing those 10-minute writers jams.
Oh
right?
yeah. So writer sprints where you're like, all right, at the top of the hour, we about to hit some writing, get whatever words you can get in, and then we'll check in 10 minutes and see where you are. So there's that. There's like literally just setting up like a video chat where both of y'all, like where everybody's on the camera and you're just writing quietly, like by yourselves. Carrie actually read an early draft of my manuscript and she sent me a Spotify playlist that she created based on what she read. And it was just really fantastic. Like I listened to it as I'm editing and it's wonderful. Now on Spotify, you can have like listening parties where you're all listening to the same music. And sometimes it helps to just talk stuff out. Just be like, I'm stuck with this. Like I've written articles and reviews where I was just like, I wrote some words, please help me. And like, I'm like, sense, I don't know. So all of that helps. And sometimes you just got to do everything except right to get through that block. Like sometimes you just not.
Brittany and I were sending word counts to each other. So just like a text to be like this, I wrote 100 words today. Like that's all I had. But also there was accountability because I'm supposed to, no matter what I write, I'm supposed to send it to her. I also think like sometimes when you can't write because, and we may get to this later, but because there's so many of us and we do such different things. Like I'm a poet, Izette is a poet. I know Leslie's doing primarily fiction, Britt's doing primarily fiction, Carrie's doing scholarship on cinema. That sometimes people are like, yo, maybe you should just write something else or craft. Maybe glitter will solve your problem. Or like maybe you should quilt something and it should have pockets. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. Let me like not try to force this kind of, Marxist reading of The Walking Dead and let me try to do this other thing. And the fact that that's okay and that's creative and that is also something that we're making, that's art. And that's welcomed. So I think part of it is the expectation. The expectation is that we're going to be doing something, hopefully, but that something isn't defined. There's not like a product we're trying to get to all the time.
Yeah, I would have to instead of writing, I do fabric work. So I make clothes, I make bags, I quilt, like she said, and that's how I get through my writer's block and having that validated. Right, because if you go on Twitter or you go on the internet and they're like, writers write 1,000 words a day, and if you're not writing 1,000 words, you're not a writer.
No. Live.
Sorry, like but my creativity flows through the fabric, and then that gives me the words I need. Right, to get somewhere else. But I needed a group of other women saying, hey, I'm a poet. If I wrote 1,000 words, that's like all of Robert Frost's entire oeuvre in one day. I'm not, right? Like that's like you can think about how unrealistic and odd those kinds of counts are, right? Or from scholarship, if I read 1,000 words, that counts. That's 1,000 words of content into my body that I can then give out. So just variety in your inputs make a big difference.
And I think that really leads into this slide, which is why I went ahead and went to it. But the role of honesty and then like being nice, right? Like I feel like we have been able to be very honest with one another and in turn, like with ourselves about some things, whether it comes to writing or other things going on in life, because life happens outside of what we write and what we create, right? And I remember when I was just going through some things and some depression after the loss of some family members, the loss of some functioning of my face, and body things and stuff. And I just couldn't write. I don't know what it was, like a year maybe. And I came to a point where I was honest about it. You all were honest with me, like, hey, maybe this ain't for you right now. Maybe it's not for you. Maybe it's not for you anymore. But there wasn't a like, you're no longer part of the group kind of thing that ever happened. Like, it was whether you write or not, you're my sister. And that to me was exactly what I needed to be able to create again, and to remember that whether I was creating in that moment or not, I'm still a creator.
Yes.
Yeah.
That we are all creators,
Yeah.
right? That spark lives in us all.
That's real. That's real. And we do like the level of honesty we allow ourselves and each other in this chat is really great. And I want to do like, so nice is nice is a word that's like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna be nice. Like, nice is one thing. I like to think of it as honesty and kindness, because nice can be nice. Being nice sometimes can lead to dishonesty, but being kind, like delivering an honest answer with kindness, is something different. And sometimes the kindest, most honest answer or response isn't gonna be nice. Like, sometimes you need to be collected. Like, your friends need to come and like yoke you up and be like, this ain't it. I know you think you did something, you ain't doing nothing right now. Which is good. And I think that we have this level of we created this level of trust amongst ourselves, where even if it's not the answer that you thought you wanted, you know, like sometimes you get the answer you need. And
That's so cool.
And I think too, nice is weaponized against women a lot, right? Like, so there's an expectation that we will be nice, and that's the thing that we have to do. And that if we internalize that, then we end up silencing ourselves. And I mean, I think part of like the biggest part of this thing, our kind of collaboration as creators, is that our voices are valuable, whether those voices are coming out as fiction or poetry or fabric work or bread, because as that has been fucking up this quarantine, like that all of those things are valuable and we shouldn't be silencing ourselves. And so if in the service of niceness, we don't say the real thing, then that's not helpful to anyone. And I mean, there's this quote that I return to a lot of just about, that's very specifically about writing, but it's like the idea, being a writer is agreeing to learn how to write in public. And I like that because it gives you permission, like your first book or whatever, your first published thing isn't going to be as good, whatever that means to you, as your 15th, right? Because you're going to come more into your voice, whatever that means. But I think it's really helpful to have this very small public that you can bring the work to, and like learn in front of this smaller group before you take it to the larger group or you publish it on a larger scale, and ask questions. Like I'm not a fiction writer, I'm a poet, and I know that I've asked specifically Leslie and Brittany about things like, am I fridging this woman? And like they've answered me honestly, and I would much rather hear that from them than from someone else, because they're not going to say it with kindness, like Britt said, but it is something that I need to hear if I'm going to get to the right, if I'm going to be able to become the writer I aspire to be.
What about inspiration? Like, how do we inspire each other to create even when we're down? We kind of maybe hit on this a little bit, but in case someone wanted to add something more to it, or this just sparked some more conversation.
We do the vision boards every year.
Oh yeah, we do.
And I'm going to be totally honest. When I don't remember who first brought it up, I was like, "What is this corny camp stuff?" Right? Like, going to sit down and collage and cut up magazines, right? And put your dream house on a piece of poster board. I was not in it. I was like, "Okay, they think it's a good idea."
And wine.
I will do my very best. Let's get it. I love my vision board. It's right next to my computer. I look at it every day, and I have legit done most of the stuff I put up there. And it's because of the energy of all of us sharing our stories as we put it together that gives it legit magic, in my opinion. But that's the way that the visual, we inspire each other through the pictures and the hands-on construction of a thing. And that's a way that also might work for some people who have writer's block or any other kind of creative block, is to do a vision board. You know, you can do them on Pinterest, you can do them in real life with paper, but collecting your pictures and gluing them to something gives it a real permanence.
It does.
And then there's
You can
stickers,
put them in
right?
your planner.
There's stickers
It really
and
does.
paint, and then glitter, and you're in business,
And glitter.
right?
Always glitter.
Always wear glitter.
Huh. I remember that we really like jumped on a group hangout. Like we did a video chat where we all just sat together and did our vision boards and talked about it and talked about what we were doing, what we were thinking of, and and remember I sent y'all candles and
Yes,
You did.
and we
Yes.
all lit the candles at the same time.
bath salt.
We had the candles lit, did a little scrub on my hands with the bath salt.
Yep.
Yes.
I really handmade some bath salts and some candles. I, for the first time, hand poured lavender candles.
But it was so
Sent
dope.
to
Like,
everybody.
Yeah, it was.
It was perfect,
it was
perfect.
perfect.
right?
And then,
Good.
oh, I was just gonna say, it just added layers to this. Like we had said earlier, like 90% of our interactions and everything are digitally. But when somebody just sends you something that they made so that y'all can do it together in the internet, like I don't care, candle, scrub. It was just beautiful, and it I felt like it really just put the life into what we were doing and into the community of us. Like it just added that extra layer.
And so if you're thinking about, right, if you have, maybe you have a couple of friends on one side and you've got a couple friends of other, and you want to get them all together, something like that, a vision board, an activity that you can all do separately, simultaneously on your Google Chat or your Zoom or what have you, that's a really nice way to level set. And then everybody's there together and your relationship can grow from that. As a practical suggestion for those who want practical suggestions.
Carolyn, let me say, as somebody with 3 dogs, it's all fun and games.
It's all fun. You and those dogs are hilarious to me. I'm sorry, they kill me.
I got one, and that's enough.
I cannot.
Oh, so
we've got a question in the Discord. Should I do that, or is the moderator going to do that? I'll do it.
Go
do
ahead.
that. Do it. Do it.
Okay. Whew. I'm a member of a couple of nerdy groups that are very ellipses white. How can we change our community so that Black, Indigenous people of color feel more welcome, heard, and safe? That's a big question. I think that we can only speak for ourselves and in our pocket, right? Like, this is a conversation about us coming together internally, like as a group of Black women, to support each other. If you're talking about a community that is racially diverse that way, then it just starts to, you have some of the same techniques that you would do with any other community. Are you honest? Are you safe? Are you kind? All right, like those kinds of questions are still going to be part of the conversation. But you also, like we keep talking about how you have to check each other when somebody goes out of pocket. That becomes even more dangerous in a mixed racial setting, because as Black women, we don't trust that the white majority will check each other when they get out of hand. And so you have to make that a priority. If Susie says something, Johnny has to say, no, Susie, that's not all right. And not make it my responsibility to say, Susie, that's not all right. And if you could start from there, that honesty and that kindness and that holding space for each other bleeds out into everything else. So that's what I would say about that. But we're really talking about an internal group as opposed to a mixed race group, which we are all members of in other ways, right? I do Renaissance Fair. other people do other community things. That's the kind of the beauty of this small fivesome, is that this is a circle where we hold hands together, that we can then go out, and I have the energy and the presence to participate in my other communities more effectively. So that I can go to, say, when I went to Worldcon, or I go to a convention, and I can be present in a mixed racial setting more effectively and be more real, more myself, because I have this grounding behind me.
I agree with all of that, and I also believe that it is okay to build your own table. Like, you do not have to have a seat at somebody else's or walk into this house where you know you are not welcome and you do not feel welcome. You can definitely create your own. So we have this space that is all us. I love planning. I'm not going to show you my craft cart. I'm not going to do that. But I have a lot of planners and stickers and all those things. And I found that the majority of the spaces where people would get together, adult women would get together and put stickers down on paper, were white. And that is not what I wanted. And so I could not find a predominantly Black and brown space where I felt most comfortable. So I created my own. And I don't regret it. I love it. And we are primarily all Black, brown, indigenous folks of color, all walks of life, all sexualities. It's called Black Girls Span Columbus. And then we have some other folks who are not Black or brown. We have some white folks who are there a little bit. But also know that this is a predominantly Black and brown space. And so those voices are going to take precedence over some others. All of our issues and things that we champion as Black and brown folks are going to be talked about. If that's not something that you want to be a part of or hear, that you don't have to. I don't know. But I don't know if I'm just becoming jaded. Like, I do believe that spaces need to be more diverse. I also do not believe in, nor am I taking the emotional labor to help others diversify spaces anymore. So I just create my own.
That's what I was going to say. Like, if you're the member of groups that are not what you want them to be, like, you don't have to reform those groups, because that's not why you joined it. Like, that might not be fun for you. That labor is labor, and it takes time and energy, and that's energy you could be using to do something else. So you can seek out pre-existing groups that maybe are more aligned with your goals, or like Isabella said, you can start thinking about how can you build your own table. Like, when I had kind of stepped away from writing poetry for a while, and when I went back to writing poetry, I specifically sought out residencies and retreats and online groups that were focused at writers of color, because I knew that's what I wanted, and I knew that's what I needed at the time. And that was really helpful. But I personally didn't have the capacity to create anything. I just didn't. I feel like I have 700 kids and like a whole garden that's dying. Like, I got a lot of things going on, and I would like to have been the person that had the capacity to create something, but I didn't. So I was like, what have other people of color created, and can I join? Like, are those doors open? And so I found some open doors, and that was really, really helpful. I just don't want to encourage anyone to take on labor they cannot do. Yeah, and I think that goes back to the honesty part. You got to be honest with each other and also with yourself. Like, what are you really capable of doing in this moment? Like, given the constraints of your life.
Yeah.
But I believe everyone, and Nicole is right. And I guess to be the last tag in for this question for Discord, for the answer for this question on Discord, you want to be honest and genuine, and you want to be committed to doing work and doing the work in your life to make the world a better place. But also that means unlearning problematic things that you were taught, your school system or whatnot. The whole global protests that we've seen regarding Blackness and police brutality and transparency in our government and the police departments has really opened up the eyes of so many people. Like, I could be talking to my Black neighbor. I could be doing this. I could be doing something for the PTA. So everyone should be doing some type of work for themselves.
Mhm.
And what that is in your lives, I don't know. I'm not going to judge or, reign over that. But that's something you should think about when you're thinking about these spaces that you're in, that you want to be more welcoming.
I think, well, Izetta had to run because we all have lives, but I think we're in our Q&A session unless anybody wanted to have a closing comment.
Well, I know the last slide that Izetta put up was about the power of venting and being believed. And so I just wanted to talk about that before we like jump back into questions, because that's such a it's such an amazing thing in the chat. Like and having been in spaces where you're afraid to speak up because it'll be it's like you're inviting a fight, you're inviting a battle just to get the truth out there. And having somewhere you can go where people will listen and respond and just not question you unnecessarily is really beautiful for me personally. So yeah.
Well, I had a friend of mine she's a big selfie proponent, and she has this whole philosophy around selfies and how that they are an expression of not of self-centeredness, but of wanting to be seen. I am insisting that I am present and I am real. And so whenever we are in the chat and anybody starts with, I need to vent a second, I know my answer is supposed to be, I see you, I hear what you have said, and I believe it is true. Right? Like that's where you start, and that's a real friendship, and that's ugly and it's messy. And sometimes it makes me have to question, whoa, that's some heavy-ish. Like, how do I feel about it? And I have to get myself together about various other diversity aspects and angles that I don't necessarily have experience with, but that makes me better, and I can then support my sister simultaneously. So that venting space, your honesty helps me be more honest. Right. And vice versa.
And I know for me, sometimes I have some really ugly thoughts and ugly or uncomfortable feelings about things. And we've been taught that, uncomfortable feelings are automatically negative, so much that when you feel them, sometimes you feel very alone in that space. So being able to kind of bring the things that are making me feel angry and upset or hurt, and sometimes they're like complicated situations, being able to bring that to the chat and talk it out lets me feel less alone, and also helps me to process those thoughts. And it's helping me work towards being in a space of emotional maturity where I don't shut down as soon as I feel a negative emotion, So it's just really, again, to repeat myself, that's really beautiful to have.
I don't know if we have time, but I wanted to touch upon the slide of tips from your group. The slides are no longer on the screen, but the tips for your group slide, which state, small time commitment, diversity of interests, and asking for what you need, which might be helpful for the viewers and people who are watching. I can elaborate on that real quick, or anyone else wants to touch it, or okay, I'll do it.
I was going there with you, so why don't you start?
Okay.
I will type those into the Discord so everybody can see them, and so I know what it is. So just as you say them, I will type them so I know what they are. So hit it.
So tips for your group, for folks that are watching: small time commitment. Don't overexert yourself with, yes, I will read all 12 of your manuscripts by midnight Tuesday night. No, ain't nobody's gonna do that. If you can schedule out weeks of time for your sister or your brother or your non-binary sibling, do so. But know what you're getting into. If someone needs a cover letter read and that's going to be 1 or 2 pages, cool. And you can do that between work and before dinner or what have you. Don't overexert yourself. And diversity of
That's the idea. Like, what are you looking for from a group? Because if you don't know what you want, it's going to be hard for you to get it. So it might be a helpful thing if you're going to say, like, we are very aware that our group has a diverse interest. Like, right? Like nobody is trying to make all of us write a novella because it's not going to happen. And so we kind of come under the umbrella of creatives, and whatever that means for you, that is okay. And the group, that might mean something for you different in January than it does in August, and everybody is all right with that. So I think it's really helpful for you to be thinking about not only the time commitment, which is real, because if you're agreeing to read a manuscript, there's a difference between reading a novel manuscript and reading a manuscript of poetry, or reading a short story. Like those are different time commitments. So to be thinking about like, what am I actually looking to get out of this group, and what am I capable of giving to this group? And be as honest as you can and as transparent as you can, and manage your expectations that way. So if I do have a cover letter, it's okay if people are like, "Nah, I'm at work today, I can't read it." Like I don't get to be in my feelings because other people have a life. Like if that happens every single time I ask somebody to read something, then maybe that's a different story, and we need to rethink kind of our commitment to each other. But I think that managing your expectations has a lot to do with being honest with yourself about what you want, what you are willing to give, and what you can reasonably expect from people who also have lives. I don't know
Were
what.
those the 4 things? That was
I
small
wasn't
time.
reading.
Was
I'm
3
sorry.
things.
I'm sorry.
Carrie, was that the 3
reading.
things? I just want to make sure I got them all.
I
When I start taking notes,
sorry.
I take notes.
I didn't. My brain does not work that way.
See, get you somebody who's gonna take notes.
Sorry.
Get you somebody to take notes. Get you a girl who takes notes. Sorry, go ahead.
So one is small time commitment. You know, manage what you can handle, what you know you can handle. 2 is diversity of interest. It's okay to like something else, anything else. And then 3, asking for what you need, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for Nicole, I think it was piggybacking on being honest with expectations.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Sorry.
My organizational mind. Are there any other questions or comments? We've got about 5 minutes. And there's a happy hour in the Discord, right? That's later. So I guess we could do questions there too.
Maybe.
If any of us can make it to the happy hour. Right, Carolyn and or Whitney?
Absolutely.
Oh, you said her name and they appeared.
Right. And there she was.
But yeah, feel free to go ahead and jump into questions here. And then, yeah, if we go over, we can go over a few minutes. And then if there's still an awesome conversation going on, it can jump over into happy hour.
Excellent. And also, like, we are all nonfiction writers at Black Nerd Problems. So if you have questions about Black Nerd Problems, we can make up stuff about that. If you have questions about our own individual nerddoms, we can make up stuff about that. Like, we could talk all day.
Right.
2 of us are parents, and we can talk about juggling that. Like,
if you want to talk about Kickstarter, I can talk about that.
Kickstarter.
Yep.
Carrie and Brittany and her dogs, right?
Yep,
Like,
I got 3 dogs. If you want to talk about that and what it's like to like have a real life Cerberus and trying to pet 3 dogs at once.
We got
with
it.
2 hands. With only 2 hands.
With only 2 hands.
I don't have enough hands.
Brittany has so many more talents. I should not minimize her.
It's okay. It's okay. I mean, I do have 3 dogs.
Yes. And secret things we can't talk about.
Yes. Secret, super secret things. Secret Star Wars things that are secret until November 10th.
Sorry, I'm being awful.
No,
it's a good
like,
secret.
yeah. I haven't even told y'all like I haven't even spilled the beans to y'all about like what I wrote or like what it is. So
I guess we got to go to the G chat after this now.
Right.
Right?
It's secret. It's secret.
Even I don't even know.
Yes, Steve. Fact Pov. What is it? Fact Pov. From a certain point of view, The Empire Strikes Back. It's a long title.
I had no idea what that meant.
Steve, you're gonna have to help us out, bro. You're gonna have to be a little more.
Yep.
Steve, I'm glad you could make it. I know you're late.
We know Steve. Is Steve somebody we know? Hi, Steve.
Steve's on Twitter.
Oh,
he's on Twitter. He's
That
a
doesn't
Twitter
make-
fan.
That doesn't.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay, I'm going to stop babbling. Sounds like there are no questions. I'm not seeing anything.
Oh, here we go.
Oh.
Oh. Okay, so here you go. Yeah, so for the secret Star Wars thing, the super secret Star Wars thing, if you hit up my link on either Twitter or Instagram, you'll go to my link tree and there's the pre-order link there. Eventually, as more information gets announced, I'll always post it on social media. The official Del Rey account will post it on social media. So will Star Wars. And eventually my Wikipedia entry will be updated with what I wrote. So you can also find it there. Right? Y'all, I got a Wikipedia page. It's wild. It's crazy. It's just wild. It's just, what is this life? I don't know.
And Brittany, tell the folks your Twitter handle so people can know.
Exactly. Yeah, Twitter handles. Let me do that.
My Twitter handle, or my handle across social, so that's on Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest, is Brittany Acts, BRITTANYACTS. Look, don't be getting me in trouble with the editors over at Del Rey, okay, Steve? Don't. I'm not trying to look. No, it's like November gonna roll around, my story not even gonna be there. They're like, "What happened to Brittany?" Oh, she spilled the beans too early, so they cut her story. Like,
because they will
play me. Don't y'all play my life.
No.
So yeah, it's Brittany X, BRITTANYACTS.
Carrie, your turn. What's your social?
Smart.
I'm putting them in the Discord.
Got you. So
I just changed my name. Change your name.
What? Oh, isn't that clever?
See, we're always learning from each other,
right? This is me. This is me.
Okay.
There I am.
There you go.
Okay.
There we go. Okay. Yep. That's where you can find me. Or, of course, blacknerdproblems.com. If you start there, then you'll find us all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And many more.
And many more.
So many. Yes.
Perfect. Divine Black Pearl, Real Nicole Homer, Brittany X, LEH Light. All right. Any other questions? No. Okay. I think, Whitney, we're ready to wrap this up. Do we need to do anything special to make that happen?
Not at all. I just want to say thank you all for coming in and watching us. And I want to say thank you to our amazing panelists. This was fantastic. And it was absolutely inspiring. I wrote down so many quotes. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Fun.
Thank you, viewers.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.